Hey, and welcome back to Rev Limited. I'm Charles, and behind me is our 1992 Acura NSX. This is the car that'll be taking us on an almost 3,000-mile road trip from Mississippi to Arizona for NSXpo in October. Now, before we get there, to make sure the car is safe to handle that kind of a road trip, we have a lot of maintenance and service parts that we will be putting into the vehicle. First and foremost is air conditioning. So we got a new AC compressor. We also have the box that goes inside the dash. We took that out. They always have problems with the seals going bad over the years, so we had that refreshed. Send it to Joe. It's one of our guys in our NSX community. We also have some parts from Science of Speed. I have the gas shocks that go in the trunk, and also the rear glass for the hatch. Also the power windows regulators. Got the rebuild kits for those. To keep it cool, got a new Koyo Radiator. It's not new, but it's secondhand. Got it from a friend of mine, also in Arizona. He took it out of his car. Also have a lot of belts and hoses, all Honda, and tongue belt, water pump, spark plugs. Also did a new clutch master cylinder and clutch slave cylinder. Also doing a main relay and some other electronic components. We're flushing all of the clutch fluid, brake fluid, putting new brakes on the car. Currently the windshield is not installed, so we have all new seals and gaskets from Honda. And so this will just be part one of our build on this car to get us on the road. So stay tuned and see how it goes. Hey, so this is Graham. We're going to talk about a little bit on the engine side of what we're doing here.
So what we got going on in the back here is we're going to do a timing belt and water pump swap. This baby's got more age on it than it does miles, but it's still a great preventative maintenance thing to do on all NSXs, NA1 or NA2. So going on in the back, the engine will stay in the car. We'll do the timing belt and the water pump over here. As kind of a part of a general maintenance, we are flushing the cooling system. We do that on all of these because we have to take so much of it off anyway. We're also going to do oil filter and fresh oil. It's kind of a mechanical valve train, so we go through and adjust the valves. You know, I think they're about 6 thousandths on the intake, 7 or 8 thousandths on the exhaust valves. That's a cold adjustment. To do the timing belt and water pumps, you got to take the valve covers off, which means you got to take the ignition coils out. So while you're in there, you do the valve adjustment. You put in a fresh set of spark plugs. Like I said, we're flushing the coolant. We always replace the thermostat. And that's just a good overview of what all goes on with a timing belt and water pump. There's a lot more to it than just, you know, the parts itself. All right, so moving up under the car, these NA1s and NA2s bury the air compressor. It's right in here. It's so hard to see, which is fine. We'll have other video of it to see. This car is a 92 model. The air conditioner wasn't working great. It's got Honda all over the compressor itself. So we're just going to do the right thing and go ahead and replace this. We're going to replace the expansion valve up front, which you'll see it's actually inside that heater box we talk about. And then the little accumulator tank in front that hangs out in front of the radiator just looks like a skinny tall Coke can or something. So we'll have this right here to replace the two parts I mentioned up front, and then in all of these lines going like to the compressor, for example, the two at the firewall, the forward firewall, not the rear firewall, the two lines that go into the evaporator core box, there's AC O-rings there, and there's quite a few of them actually. It's kind of like the coolant hoses on these cars. They've got it seems like 100 coolant hoses and then 100 O-rings to go along this. So we'll get on it and get this bad boy ripped out and get it replaced with a brand new, not rebuilt one.
All right, so now we're moving to the front of the car. We're gonna go ahead and put in the HVAC box that we just had freshly rebuilt. Try to get some of the dash put back together and then move on into under the hood, finish putting in the blower box for the HVAC system, and then move on to the radiator.
right, so that's got us going with our timing belt, water pump, spark plug, valve adjustment, the new HVAC put in, or the HVAC box, I guess you'd call it, has the evaporator core and the heater core. Shiny new radiator, just about all buttoned up. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. Be watching for the next one. Like, share, subscribe, give us some comments, and tell a friend. Anyway, I'm telling you, the bolts, we can just take the bolts, put them out in the grass. We don't have to label them. They'll stick like in the grass and in the dirt. They won't go anywhere. They won't wash off into the creek. And when we get ready to put the car back together, they'll all be there. And because they get rained on, they'll be maybe even cleaner too. I'm telling you, it works so much better than those bags.
Let's do it.
So much better.